So the first researcher that I found intriguing was John Starr. Um, I actually read 4 abstracts. So in this first one, he talks about instructional tasks and activities that actually drive a lesson, and how these aren't actually as crucial as questioning, explaining, or student demonstrations. And then he talks about how these actually drive the level of success for students. So in this particular article, it's actually analyzing the lesson activities and how this drives student success. So the second article is basically a discussion between do we use procedure knowledge or do we go conceptually? And so it's that old war of procedure versus conceptual, and what role it plays in student success. So the third article that I looked at, it specifically talked about struggling learners and their trouble with multiple representations when trying to find a solution for mathematical problems. And it actually looks at studies a couple of cases where students that were struggling learners actually found it more problematic to use multiple representations, that they felt more safe with just one type of representation during instruction. So the fourth article was actually about improving lessons using smaller increments instead of trying to use large scale change to create better teaching, better lessons. They talked about small incremental changes that teachers could utilize in a classroom that are actually effective and actually would start the process of changing the dynamics of the classroom and the lesson. And so I found that John Starr actually focused on the lessons and improving lessons, or discussing should we use procedure versus conceptual, what does the struggling learner get out of the lesson. And so I actually find that intriguing when you start thinking about how important lessons are in education. I mean, they're basically the start of, or the demise of, a child's education. And so the second author, I've actually had some experience with her, Deborah Ball. And so I chose her as well because I appreciate her for her research with teachers and their content knowledge. So the first article pretty much discusses about prepping school teachers and actually analyzing their work specifically to improve their knowledge of what is being taught, their conceptual knowledge. The second article, this was studies of mathematics teaching, and it identified needed content knowledge based on the problems that arose in class. And I actually kind of found that interesting. So instead of them saying, hey, this is the way to improve your own content knowledge, they actually analyzed some teachers' classrooms and their instructions, their lessons. And then as the lesson progresses and there's problems that appear, they use those problems to actually drive the instruction given to the teachers, and use that to build conceptual knowledge for teachers, which is actually very interesting. At least to me it is. And so lastly, this one focuses on developing common professional standards and how having these common professional standards promotes skillful teaching. And so I found that Deborah Ball really pays attention to the teacher's knowledge and the way that this affects or alters the classroom and student success. And so this has always been a passion of mine, and so I chose to stay with her. Now, the thing is that I actually like John Starr, and I think that understanding both of the researchers actually is very beneficial, because Ball is very focused on teachers and their understanding of the mathematics, whereas Starr, from what I've seen, was focused on the lessons and the interactions amongst the students and the activities chosen, and how this plays a crucial part in student success. And so I found that these two actually, understanding both of their works, could actually improve not just student success, but students' ability to retain the information. When you start thinking about the fact that, one, the teacher does need to know what she's doing when she gets into a classroom. And the second thing is actually understanding what tasks do we use, what questioning should we use, how does all of this affect either the students' interest, their engagement, do they feel challenged? Do they need to be challenged? And so on. And so the big takeaways that I get from this: one, Deborah Ball, she is really about developing teachers' content knowledge of the mathematics that they are supposed to be teaching. And two, John Starr focuses on the lessons and the instructional components of the lesson, and how these aspects actually play a role in student success. And so I think that understanding both of these perspectives actually will help me become a better mathematics teacher, but it also helped me become a better instructional leader in developing better teachers and helping them develop better lessons. So that's all I have to say about that.